Why is Tesla stock down 5.25% today? Well, the markets are down, but there is quite a bit more to this than just the markets. And while what I'm about to show you may scare you, many Tesla stock investors, including Gary Black and Troy even, and James, they think this is actually perfectly fine. Q1 in China for Tesla is still not quite what many would have expected after the sharp price reductions. This is Tesla China insurance data quarter over quarter. In red, you will see our current quarter, and this is Q4, the previous quarter, and you can see that the current numbers are not looking nowhere near as good when you compare them to the last quarter. The bears are saying the price cuts didn't work. This is proof of lack of demand, but I wouldn't be so fast to say that. First, take a look at Q3. You can see that Q3 was not that high. And when you compare just weekly numbers, it can all get skewed. This is a much better way to do it. This is Tesla China insurance per week, last 3 quarters. This is our current quarter, and this is how many vehicles Tesla delivered within China specifically. And then when you compare this to Q4, this looks quite a bit better. Also, we have to remember we had the Chinese New Year in January. That really slowed down Tesla in China. In Q4, we did not have that. So this is actually still looking pretty good, especially if you compare it to Q3. Gary says this was in line with expectations. I think a record quarter for Tesla is still very possible. This data certainly supports it. Never before has Tesla been the best brand in battery electric vehicle sales so early in the quarter in the 4 daily reporting European countries. It would either be at the end of a quarter or Tesla would not even make it to the very top. It's just 4 countries in Europe. In Q4 and Q3, Tesla did not even make it to the list, and before it would be all at the end. Tesla is in green here, and that is expected to accelerate. That is a strong data point. Troy's calculation from yesterday was 5,891 units, local deliveries in China, basically, and the actual number was 5,913. That is as close as you can get to the actual number. Big shout out to Troy. He did a tremendous job here. Troy answered this tweet. Curious, why is this week special? Is it because Tesla sells more locally at the second half of a quarter and therefore it's a better guide to the demand in China, which is true. That is what Tesla does. Even though we are trying to eliminate the end of a quarter delivery wave, Tesla still does that to some degree. It's hard to just completely move away from that immediately. It takes a little bit of time. Troy says there were no more cars left to deliver because of exports, which makes sense. You look at the European numbers and they look pretty good. The numbers are high for deliveries. And the reason why this chart may look so confusing to someone who's new to Tesla stock, they may look at this one in Q1, look at all the sales, and then look that, oh, the sales are falling. If you look at the red bars here, they are falling. But Tesla had quite a bit of inventory left from the last quarter, which is all part of Tesla's strategy. And basically, Troy thinks Tesla was selling vehicles from inventory mostly, instead of producing cars for the Chinese market. And Tesla was focused on producing the cars to export. And Troy said very clearly yesterday, I expect it to be low, meaning this week's numbers, but that's not a problem. If next week is low, it will be a problem because that will show a better indication of what the actual demand is within China. James, who can at times certainly be very critical of Tesla, says Tesla China is exporting like mad. Wait times for Model Y is 2 to 5 weeks, which may not look like much, but actually, when you think about it, because Tesla starts delivering a lot of vehicles locally, it may actually be a huge number. We just don't know for sure. James says that is potentially 40 to 100,000 vehicles, basically a backlog rolling week over week. They can still deliver a record quarter. Troy is also anticipating in China and in Europe a lot of unsold inventory at the end of the quarter, which is not really a bad thing if you want to make sure that the delivery wave at the end of the quarter is not too high, because if you sell every single vehicle at the end of the quarter, then you begin the quarter with literally no inventory for local markets where the cars are produced, because, for example, Giga Shanghai only usually focuses on exports in the beginning of a quarter, and therefore, unless there is inventory that is unsold from a previous quarter, you can't buy a car from the inventory, leading to delivery waves which impact profit margins in a negative wave. And you may ask, well, why can't Tesla just produce vehicles for the local market and export market at the same time? Well, reasons are many, but one of them, the cars require different hardware often for different markets. Also, Troy points out that in some countries in Europe, they allow for two identical cars but not three to appear in inventory. So that's good, because in the US, we know Tesla does not show more than one identical configuration per location. You can have 10 vehicles in the exact same configuration, and Tesla will only show they only have one in the inventory. So even though the inventory in Europe may look substantially higher, the reality is we don't know for sure. If you look at the hard data only that we can for sure compare with previous quarters, never before has Tesla been the best brand in BEV sales so early in the quarter. We did it on day 51 compared to before. The best was 69. This next chart, though, is going to be controversial and extremely divisive. The bulls are going to love this, and the bears will say, told you so. Why? Same data still, but now put on a chart. Tesla deliveries in Europe, in these 4 specific countries, and you can see this current quarter, which is still clearly ahead of any other quarter before. However, if the deliveries continue like they have, that would not be a good quarter. But if we look at all the data before, this curve just takes off like you would not believe. So the bulls will say, we love this chart because it shows that we are ahead, clearly still. And the bears will say, the trend is not looking good. We started really fast here, but now it is not likely to continue, is what the bears are going to say. To me, as a long-term investor, it doesn't really matter much, unless you think that Tesla will not produce another vehicle that is going to be cheaper and widely desired. If you think Tesla will never come up with any other vehicles other than the Model 3 and Model Y that will sell very well, more units than these two combined, then I would be watching this like a hawk. What does Elon have to say about all of this? Well, not much. He says, say what you want about me, but I acquired the world's largest nonprofit for $44 billion. Like usual, Elon is not going to comment on what's going this week or next week or this quarter specifically. He says focus on a long-term picture. We also got some news that newly updated comfort suspension is now confirmed for all Tesla Model Y performance vehicles being delivered in Australia in 2023. Many complained about the Model Y suspension. It's really stiff. I mean, I thought the Model 3 is already a bit stiff, and the Model Y, he said it's a lot stiffer. So that, I think, will certainly help sell more Model Ys. And here is one reason why the markets are down today substantially. When you look at it from a short enough time frame, then yeah, this increase looks horrifying if you are a growth stock investor. For interest rates to stop increasing, inflation has to slow down. Then Kathy said that she expects interest rates to be cut I pulled out this chart from Deutsche Bank that shows all sample countries from 1920, 318 observations, that's a big number, of countries that reach 8% inflation, and then how long does that inflation persist? As you can see, the median scenario says that inflation stays that way for a very long time. And for US, we are projecting the absolute ideal case scenario out of these 318 observations. Do you have enough confidence in our politicians and in our government officials to do the absolutely perfect thing? I truly hope this time is different, but I am not betting on it. Despite all of that, I am still very comfortable holding Tesla stock, because if we do have higher interest rates, they will crush all other competitors in a much worse way than it will Tesla. I mean, look at this. This is a story from today. Tesla price cuts spur dealer discounts and manufacturer incentives on other EVs. It took a long time for them to catch up to this, but now it is happening because they couldn't really sell the cars at ridiculously high prices because people compared, oh, you're selling me this not very good EV and I can get a Tesla at a cheaper price and it's actually a better car. Yeah, how about I'm not gonna buy that? But in some cases, even if you discount the vehicles, not many people will want them. I mean, after all, you can't really polish a turd. Audi. Don't build EVs on gasoline car platforms. Make a separate platform for EVs only. And this is the Tesla stock buying opportunity explained by Elon Musk. My name is Matt Postius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.